So, Austin, we're here to watch and discuss the live show of the Warhammer reveals, right? And all of your insightful commentary that they're about to put out.
Absolutely. Elves? Didn't think they could do a sequel to Elves, but Elves 2 looks great. They're taller, pointier, more erotic.
Well, that's shocking, considering Warhammer has famously never learned how to paint a female face.
Damn.
It's their biggest weakness. It is funny. There are people desperately clamoring for more Dark Eldar that have been languishing dead in a corner for like 4 editions or something. But we're not actually here to talk about elves. We're here to talk about dragons, and the dragons in Warhammer look like someone's furry OC. So there you go.
Okay. I mean, we can still do a spew punk where we talk about all your favorite things, but I did get you here today to talk about your punished son, the most unfortunate boy, Rex Maximus, whom's the dice hate. On this episode of Crew Gunk, we're starting to wrap back around to the characters we started off with the Crew Gunks for, because we did a little interlude with like Cymbalines and NPCs and so forth. You've had a lot of character development since then. I think that the natural ending point is the argument with your dad in the downtime, because that's like, I think the big inflection point for this. So to start off, how are you feeling about Rex so far? Just any opening table setting?
I'm for the most part content with what I've done, and but I say that because like I'm never actually happy with anything I do. Because I'll be running back the tape with my coach, which is Maya, where she just goes, yes, and to everything I say. And I get angry that like, oh, I should have said it like this, or oh, I fucked up this line here. Oh, I needed to cram this in. So I will never stop doing that. It's in my nature, and by the end of the season, I will want Rex to be dying in a glue trap.
I mean, I have the same instincts, because I always think, oh, I could have done that better. Oh, I should take another run at that, which is why the podcasting medium is so good for me, because I just have to release what we recorded. It's not like writing like literary fiction or whatever, where I can just be stuck forever in revisions and edits and just never put it out.
Mhm.
So that's good. But it does leave me in eternal fear that I'm going to be like in the post-mortem or whatever, like, how do you all feel about that? And Dan's going to be like, it sucked. We should die. We should delete our accounts. We're the worst.
The women should have been green.
Yeah, it just brings the whole vibe down. But we're going to start with some of the sponsors of this beautiful podcast we're recording. They changed everything on Patreon for reasons that are unclear to me. I don't know why they keep doing this, but I'm going to read these names that they've given to me. Bad News Panda, Ariadna the Human, Zagul, Ghost Almost, Sire of Damnation, Grabnots the Grabber of Knots, Mr. Pear, Julius funneling money to Florida, the Space Fighters, Adraste, Copperhead Professional GM and Start Playing Games. I bet he's super fun to play with. And Bring Back the Bussy Discourse.
I really thought that second one was going to be Ariana Grande, and I got confused. I was maybe confused isn't the right word. I was surprised that this was amongst her interests.
No, I actually blocked her. She kept subbing and then unsubbing, and I kept getting emails. She was doing it just to fuck with me. So I did block Ariana Grande from subscribing to the Patreon, which you can do for $10 to get on this list. The last one is Bring Back the Bussy Discourse, which reminds me of one of the biggest plot twists we've done recently, which is that Rex Maximus is expecting a child. Do you want to address that at all? I know that egg has just been shown to the audience, so there's not much to say after that as far as the released episodes go, but how did that hit you? There was, I think, during that recording, several minutes of you trying to figure out how to respond before we decided it was better to just cut it off and do the music.
Yeah, because my instinct was I have to yes and shitpost joke, and I felt that undercut it afterwards, so we cut it for the moment. But yeah, I don't really know how, like, I've never had to have a character suddenly be revealed that the consequences of his actions were a bastard child. So I had to quickly run through a number of permutations of options here. I very much like this development. I think it's been mentioned on camera that I was poking you off screen. Like, dude, you could Rex fucks around. You could absolutely toss in a bastard child at this point if you wanted to, or like some dalliance that is now going to cause him a problem. I'm very excited for this development. I think it's going to have the potential to cause a number of cascading issues, potentially. Which I'm here for because again, Rex dying in a glue trap. That's my end state here.
Oh my god. I mean, I think this is a kind of plot point that I would normally try to get confirmation beforehand. It's delicate. It like puts you in a weird situation where it might be like, I don't know, emotionally strange to have to deal with. It's like, not something everybody wants to role play, but you did give me kind of tacit permission in a couple of different conversations talking about, yeah, bringing back bastard love childs or some kind of jolted lover situation. And I thought it made more sense to do this with Viola, who you have had a really interesting, I think, relationship with, especially with the strange DiCaprio elephant in the room. That I was curious how that would play out, rather than just having someone we've never met before and have no context for showing up. So that was my instinct there.
Right. And of course, as I have heard in the Cymbeline cuts, you do like to say things like, how can I use this to fuck Dan specifically? So I'm wondering if maybe there's a lower consent threshold there.
Well, I think also I know that you listen to the Cymbeline recordings immediately, so I feel
Uh-huh.
like you're present. I'm speaking to the implied Dan in every audience.
You should realize you've already fucked up in one of them, and you haven't realized it yet.
Oh no, what does that mean? You can't just say that. How have I fucked up?
There is something that my character is capable of doing that you have forgotten about because it's never come up in the entire show.
Okay, well,
we're
I
like
guess
47 episodes in. This ability has never mattered. It will probably matter.
that's terrifying. I have no idea what you're gonna do now. See, I need to. I say this all the time. I need to play with people who don't have as sharp of instincts because you keep me on my toes so much. It'd be easier if I could just dunk on you repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, either way, I'm excited for this plot development because I mean, it offers a lot of like immediate branching paths because Rex is committing to all these goals. But like, hey, he now has a child to consider, and Desdemona has already attempted to steal one pseudo child from the group. How does that affect his willingness to continue down any of these paths if that kid is in danger?
Yeah, my first thought was like I don't want to just do Ulysses Part 2, right? I don't want to repeat myself so soon, but I think we have the talent and skills to do something new and interesting and not just go over that same ground. So that's my only concern there. Not so much with you being able to handle it. I'm sure you can. I just want to make sure that we're not just speed running tiny baby arc.
Although it is going to be interesting with the like increasing downtime lengths. I don't know how that will, I guess, come into play with this child because it just based off of how we were expanding them, it would be like, all right, this baby's been born. Up, they're 50. They're 50 now.
I mean, that's possible. I think that's something we could talk about in character or out of character is do you want to hatch the egg immediately or are you going to put it like some sort of stasis? Because that's how the Ulysses egg was introduced. So we know that's on the table. You could just be like, okay, now we have to end this war stuff so I can have the baby hatch. Like that is now the stakes. It's like I don't even get to meet them until you figure all this stuff out because it's going to be such a huge vulnerability. Or yeah, we could skip ahead 50 years past the Ulysses period to a young adult child and then deal with that there. I mean, whatever is interesting for you all.
Yeah, it's something that I keep thinking about because there is something to be said for both. I think like I guess the in character dad thought would be what's going to be safest for this child, which makes me think that it would be probably hatching it because like I don't know if he necessarily wants a scenario where like that Ulysses went through where this kid gets forgotten in some merchant's cart somewhere until a dragon happens to get it. There's a lot of risk involved with that. You don't want like a sort of Rube Goldberg's montage machine where you just see it like falling through a number of cultures down the lines, and three other idiots have to raise your kid. Then look how well it's turning out for Ulysses. He's not the most stable individual.
Yeah, the egg ends up in the fear biome, and then the party from season 13 has to raise this baby dragon, and then that they find an egg, and then that gets passed to season 14, and that's just the show from now on. We're just raising terrible nightmare dragon children.
Yeah, the most dangerous weapon of all, a toddler.
Yep. I mean, it feels like it sometimes. Let's see. We got some more supporters of the show here. A burnt grill plate from a Korean BBQ. Concept the Moist, creating undersea dungeoneering experiences. Nicole is turning gender change into gender cash. Lich, Caroline just wrapped up her Valentine campaign. Keep Valentine weird. Oh, we got to talk about that because that's an exciting thing if you've seen in the Discord. Lime, man, my other patronees are going to be really confused. Tara is giving money to say hi to all the pets. Egon, Philip Mitchell, Ephrona, aka Elonix, Yonisk, aka the Thieving Squirrel, aka. That's enough. That's too much of my mind. Did you see in the Discord Caroline's Valentine campaign? It's the season 4 of our show, but running it with player characters who didn't know all the stuff that was going on. Very interesting and cool.
I am not familiar with it. No.
Oh, Dan, you've missed so much of the early show. I'm always like, oh, damn, you found Pingus's sword from season 3, and you're like, I don't know who Pingus is. This is nothing to me.
Well, you know what? I think you need that energy sometimes. So, look, Austin, you go, oh, there's no lore, there's no history here. It's fine. Anyone could jump in, and then you reference Dr. Pingus, the greatest who's ever done it, and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, Dr. Pingus, the greatest who's ever done it, did famously fall into glue trap. So I thought you were trying to, honor his legacy.
Austin, it's just my favorite method of execution, the glue trap.
It's not really execution. I mean, in a sense, like it's okay. You know what? We don't have to talk about this.
I'm gonna draw you dead in a glue trap, Austin. Do you know the joke I'm referencing?
No, what's happening?
There was a meme going around where it was somebody just drew Dobby from Harry Potter dead in a glue trap.
Okay, I did not know that. I think you're on a different internet than I am.
You know what? Yeah, fair. I think that is the case.
Okay. I mean, the internet I'm on, all they're talking about is who would win in the fight between Bakugo and Reze from Chainsaw Man. Do you want to weigh in on that controversy?
I dislike Bakugo immensely, so I'm just gonna say Reze on principle. You know what? I think I could take Bakugo out because I think he would die to a gun. I'm pretty sure if you shot him, he would die.
Yeah, it's ostensibly normal, so I think you probably could ambush him. That's the top tier expertise analysis you come to this show for.
And to bring it full circle, here's a picture of Bakugo dead in a glue trap for you.
Thank you. So, damn it, that is really what you just sent me. I thought that was a joke. I'm tired. I hate you. Why did you do this? Dan. Rex started the campaign as someone who didn't care about small folk all that much, and you have grown into their greatest champion. Walk us through that character development. That's like half the backbone of the narrative right now, and you did it. It's all on you.
Yeah, so I think I come to D&D maybe with a different steez than you do. I know you're going with the flow, man. You're all hippy dippy, like where the vibe's gonna take us? What's gonna happen? For my own purposes, need to have like a general idea of okay, how's this character probably gonna go? What am I trying to do here? And I figured, all right, I played an outright like goody in Throg. I want to invert that a bit, but I don't know if it's interesting if I just play a character that like it's like I love killing people all the time. I love incinerating and burning, which is part of what Rex is, but not fully because like I don't really know how you character develop from that. Like it's where does the growth come to? You know what? Maybe I prefer acid instead. Like that's the only way I could really see that necessarily changing in an effective manner.
I mean, in My Hero Academia, there's a character who starts off trying to burn and kill everyone, and then they undergo a bunch of character development, and then they're beloved until they die in a glue trap. So
yeah, there you go. But because of that, I was coming into it with the concept of like, okay, what if someone who had like the potential to be a good person was raised by a red dragon, and that's gonna make him a big asshole. So I wanted that to go from there, and I always figured like, okay, he cares about, success, being the best, whatever, and he got beat by a dwarf one time, and that did irreparable damage to his psyche.
I mean, to be fair, the same thing would happen to me if I got beat down by a dwarf, I feel like.
There you go. And I felt the need to just kind of expand it from there. And that, coupled with like his idiosyncrasies of recognizing when someone does something successfully, means he's not gonna downplay shit that someone's capable of doing. And it's like, all right, well, like this, the greatest sculptor in the world was a goblin that died at 45. What could they have done if they lived to 80? Like, I am a giant dragon. I'm naturally able to beat you to death. Yeah, of course I'm cool and based. But that's like, I didn't work for this. I'm really just naturally cool. Which, again, great. But like, what could this guy do if he actually had a resource to lean on?
Yeah, I like that you identify that fight with Bolingbroke as like the turning point, because at the time it wasn't clear to me how important that would be, because you were obviously handicapped by having to be in your small form, and you were trying not to leave evidence that you had broken into that vault. So I think you very easily could have just shook that off and been like, yeah, it was an unfair situation. In a fair one-on-one fight, I'd win. I'm not going to let this bother me. So I like that clarification for me personally.
Well, that, and like throughout the entire show, Rex has shown immense disdain for having to do anything as a small folk, because he's bad at it. He's not good at it. He's not built for those streets. Literally, he doesn't fit in them.
I think that does work though, because there's a lot of complaining from the players. They're like, "I'm a level 1 wizard. I have 2 hit points. Stop being mean to me." And it's like, that's how you should feel. Like, you're normally a level 20 dragon. This is you are a huge impediment. So that's like ludonarrative synchronicity there. That's like intentional on my part, as annoying as it is.
I have a number of thoughts on the mechanics of this season. I think that's better saved for what is it, like a post-mortem though.
That's such a polite way of saying I'm gonna kill you, Austin Yorsky.
I get your points. I don't necessarily agree with them, is my end state, but we also are looking for like different things, is what I would say.
Yeah, we're gonna get to try it your way next season, and then I'm gonna be the one crying and be like, oh, there's so many enemies at once, I have to keep track of which one I'm attacking and doing threat analysis. Oh, my butt hurts.
Yeah, Austin, there's every time I am a level 1 character and I've run out of resources, then you ask me, hey Dan, what do you do? There's one specific fight I'm preparing that's getting worse.
That's incredible. I mean, I just think about like games like Call of Cthulhu, where you don't have like spells and stuff. Sometimes you just gotta run away. Sometimes you gotta beg for your life. Sometimes you just gotta get owned. I don't know. That's storytelling to me. But I guess the shoe will be on the other foot when you're smashing me into little pieces. I'll just have a bunch of backup character sheets ready.
There you go. No, I agree with you. However, Call of Cthulhu was designed for that, and level 1 D&D was not built for encountering something that does 46 damage.
Oh, next time it's 8d6. I'll add a d6 every time someone complains.
which is where I think you get my character development over the season. Effort, like, I won't lie, there was a part of me that was like, fuck, I'm trying to play Rex as cool and capable, but I am failing every fucking roll. And I won't lie, there were parts where I'm like, oh, this is miserable for me. I've now entered the zen of Rex needs to die in a glue trap with no items. I've sort of detached from it because I've realized, like, look, sometimes I'm just rolling a flat D20 here. This is pure gambling. Eventually, maybe the slots will come back around, and that's how I feel about it. Like, why get upset? Kill me, eat me, Austin.
I mean, there were definitely some early rolls that were absolutely devastating, but I feel like you were supposed to be a young dragon still coming into your own, and it's gotten better over the arcs, and I feel like in a natural way. And then, of course, becoming the conduit of dessert, you have now proficiency in everything or whatever the fuck, so you're like a complete fucking baller now. So
you say that, how many times have I botched in like the last 3 sessions?
Okay, but that's just a 5% flat chance. That has nothing to do with anything else.
But that's also the point. Okay, well, you know what? Postmortem statistical discussion for later. Let's keep it at that.
Okay, Dan's like, actually, D20s are inherently fascist. They're keeping me down. Okay, so more supporters of the show. Thank you very much. Michael Wayne, Spirit of Good Girl Quinn, who has my back, along with the Spookmaster General. Lumentus, 666, Neopet 666, Eardrum Espresso, Kyle Hill, The Peroni, C.A. Little, Emil Augard, Bofjörg, Steffi K, Christman remembering the 21st night of September. I up my donation so Austin to have a family, and you should too. Dustin Dark Water, Simon Lee, Conduit of Chunkus, Bearer of Dinkus, Mini of John Con, Wishbone is gay, and a gambling pig has no regrets except for most of his 20s. So, are you ready to talk about the argument with your dad, or do you have some more build-up you want to do to that?
We can talk about it. I think Rex. Well, okay. Here's something I would like to preface with it. Something that I have attempted to do, and I don't know if it's coming across correctly, is that like Rex portrays himself pretty differently, which each like individual group he's interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit goofy with his sisters to an extent, but that's like most visible with his guard down with Viola. Whereas like every time I'm having him interact with small folk, and to an extent his father, I'm trying to play up that he's attempting to be like an actual leader or king. I don't know if this is coming across at all, but that is something I am attempting to do.
No, it does. I think that kind of annoys me about the way some people play D&D is they always try to they're playing the most reasonable person of all time simulator, or no matter who they're talking to, they're trying to just be extremely thoughtful and conciliatory. And I'm like, okay, you're like covered in mud and you just killed a bear with a knife. Like, be a little freaky with it. And I like that. Yeah, you do interact with people differently. You have like this weird grudging respect thing with Bolingbroke. You and Viola are playing grab ass games or whatever. You're completely fucking disrespectful of Falconbridge and the Cymbalines. I think that's a notably strong part of your role playing is that you.
Who was that first person you mentioned?
Okay, this is more of a question for Quinn, but how can you all justify forgetting the name of someone you've known for like 200 years? What is that? That's not. You're so mean to her.
For the bit.
Okay. I feel like at the end of the campaign, DiCaprio's gonna like turn to the camera and be like, "I knew her name the whole time." I was just being a fucking cloaca about it.
I had talked to Quinn about this, and she was like, "Yeah, I fucked up originally. It was supposed to be Viola was the one I would be forgetting because she's like the lower class one, and I just messed up in the original summary."
Classico. That's the hilarious magic there. You never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, the scene with your dad and that big downtime. I said in the downtime the reason we split them off into 3 episodes is because there was too much to fit, and even with 2 hours of recording, we didn't get to your second item, so it was a jam-packed session. But I expected on some level that you and your dad would have a fairly cordial discussion, that you would roll medicine to check how he was doing. And there would I don't know, some kind of reflection about Rosaline and the speech at the party and stuff. But what was the point? Where did it go wrong or right?
I don't know. I was waiting for you to ask me to roll something, but we just kept talking, and I never feel like being like, can I roll something here? Especially when we're like directly in the middle of the argument, because that felt like you would probably break the flow to an extent. So it just kept going, and then it did until it didn't anymore, and then the conversation was over.
That's so funny. Some people say that to me. They're like, "Oh, I was scared to ask for this," or I thought you would tell me no." And I was like, I didn't know that's the kind of vibe I'm giving off." I literally in last night's recording, Quinn is like, "I have an idea, but Austin's probably gonna tell me I'm a stupid bitch. You should die." And I was like, "What the fuck?" It was a completely reasonable suggestion. So I don't. Am I secretly terrifying?
I think it's more like the idiosyncrasies of like how I would like think about D&D, right? And what you like to run. Like you don't like to reuse like a role in the same session, right?
Yeah.
So generally I'm waiting for you to prompt me on the role that you want me to make to like do XYZ task. unless I'm getting desperate and then I'm trying to find a way to justify using a plus 17 to athletics to unlocking a magical door.
Yeah, you're using athletics to read library books. You're using athletics to make cereal. You're using athletics to think about God.
So because I know, like, okay, Austin doesn't like to reuse roles here, I'm just gonna let him tell me what he wants me to, like, wager, unless I'm like, okay, I'm using this specific ability, right? And when it's like a conversation, and let's be fair, it got off the rails pretty fast. I don't think you could say that there was a persuasion check after a while. It was just arguing. It was just every argument I've had with my mom in the last, like, 15 years.
I mean, that's good in a sense. Sorry about your mom, but I do like that we had like that organic conversation, that the flow just felt right, and it would have been bad to interrupt it. That's like kind of the ideal. Like, I want to, for me, and not everyone has to ascribe to this theory of tabletop. Sometimes the less you roll dice, the better, because you're just having fun with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's 1,000 different philosophies in Dungeons and Dragons alone, let alone tabletop more widely. So yeah, like the thing where I try to get as many different roles as possible, just because people have different builds and different skills, and they have made the characters different ways. And if I'm like, okay, this is, I've played with people who are like, they only do perception checks, and it's like, okay, well, I put all my skills into nature. Are you ever? No, we're not doing any nature checks ever. This whole campaign takes place in a city. Fuck you.
I did build a character in 4E, my most famous character, that is quite similar to several things I'll be bringing up in season 13. But I refuse to insert him in due to my own hatred of, like, GMPC type stuff, and I want to prevent that stuff in me. A character that had like a plus 27 to Arcana.
Holy shit.
And several ways to just use that for other skills. So I would simply never roll anything but Arcana. It was like, okay, persuasion check, Arcana, intimidation, Arcana, deception, Arcana. There was a way I got it to work for athletics in short bursts. So I was quite happy with my monoculture build.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfectly valid way to play if your play group finds it fun. It's not my approach. We're very different people, Dad, and that's okay. But yeah, I like to try to do as wide a variety of things as possible, so everyone has a different way to show off. Even when sometimes it would make sense to just be like, okay, do a survival check, do a survival check, do a survival check. I don't know. I'm brain damaged. But that conversation with your dad, the basic crux of it comes down to, he thinks that you all fucked up by trying to do too much. And here's a little thing I want to throw out there. He's not wrong in the short term, at least. Maybe he'll be wrong in the long term, but his implementation of the Gladys Accords like created 200 years of peace that everyone loved. He put you all in charge, and now shit has gone completely bananas. So can you see his perspective there, at least?
I can understand that. However, when he goes into details of like what he did and what he was empowering us to do, I don't think he was doing the greatest job in the world on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we definitely can talk about going forward, because I don't think there is necessarily a exact right thing to do. At least I when I came into this season, I was like, the Gladys Accords isn't right or wrong. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
And you could have feelings about it. And I think in the real world, which I try not to do like the one-to-one allegory necessarily, especially with co-writers, because it's hard to keep everyone on the same page. But in real life, I don't know how the fuck you deal with like proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. That I don't think no one solved it yet, so it seems impossible. But his anger at you, I think, came from what to him seemed like a rational and reasonable place.
Here's the thing: I don't necessarily think we have fucked up the Gladys Accords too much. We've maybe fucked up with the small folk. Because like, I think I said in the the argument with him, there was a lot of yelling. I've forgotten parts of it because it was emotion and reaction at that point. But there was the part where he's like, talking about we fucked up the Gladys Accords. He didn't even tell us where the loom was, what it looks like, or that Sycorax had it. And it's like, okay, you want us to protect and enforce it? You have like intentionally not provided us a key piece of information to deal with it, and we didn't even know where it was to be stolen in the first place. That's on you, buddy. You gave it to your ex. Like, well, how could this possibly be our fault?
Yeah, I mean, Sycorax is a more ancient dragon than you. She was supposed to be keeping a good eye on it. I didn't go into this planning that the Cymbalines would steal it. That was just like a
Uh-huh.
brain blast I had randomly that I thought it would be funny because the party hadn't duplicated anything to that point in this season. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, the loom isn't really getting used. What can I do with it? Oh, that'll be fun. But yeah, it does. It's yeah. I mean, obviously, it makes him look foolish for trusting Sycorax, but I also think it adds something to Sycorax's character, her being extremely powerful but irresponsible, just kind of a fuck up.
When you go into your missile silo and realize something's missing.
Yeah, he just left it all unlocked. You're like, it'll be fine. There's barely anybody here.
Apparently, at the Louvre heist, the password for like the CCTV cameras was just Louvre.
Yeah, which is French for Louvre. So that's probably they figured that one out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's funny you said that. Oh, we didn't really fuck up the Gladys Accords as far as the items go. It was the small folk advocacy that created all the problems. I think from his perspective, it's that he created this era of peace by not doing anything too big. It was more
Uh-huh.
about like moderation and self-control and being cool and chill, and that you all have been so bold is like what's fucking everything up more than a specific item choice, if that makes sense. His what he was trying to argue with you, and you could like go back and go like sentence by sentence. He's like, it's impossible to know what you're putting into motion. You don't have enough experience. You're too young. You're just doing shit, and it's gonna fuck up. It wasn't even like
Yeah.
specifically like, here's how it'll fuck up. He just thinks you're being rash.
Yeah. Although, so I've dealt with like old, people like this before, right? This is classic parent stuff. Where it's like you said, like, oh, you don't know I'm older than you. Like, okay, mom, I'm 30 years old now. I've been around for a while, and these are you're not living in modern times before this. Like, you don't know what the fuck's going on either. Fuck you, old man.
No, I'm glad that it does resonate authentically. I do have a very clear memory of talking to my mother when I was like 8,
Uh huh.
and she had done a bunch of really fucked up shit. And I was like, why'd you do all that fucked up shit? I didn't say it like that. I was 8. I was like, why did you do this, mommy?
Uh huh.
And she was like, you'll understand when you're older. And I gotta tell you, I'm older now, and I think she did that fucked up shit wrong. I think she fucked up bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I understand now. I think sometimes people fuck up whether they're parents or not. It doesn't give you like a special wisdom bonus.
Yeah, to clarify, I do love my mom, but I think Rex's take is like, in his view, he sees his dad talking like, oh, this period of peace where like nothing was really happening, and it's like, well, Desdemona was actively undermining you. Any other dragon could also be doing this. Like half the time with inspections, you will be attacked if you just attempt to do them. I think all you've done is made a period where people are building things up. And because you don't actually, know what's going to happen, you're poo-pooing anything that we could have possibly done. Also, Rex tried to compromise and he got put in a bottle and 2 of his friends were killed. So he's kind of done with that as an option.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely come at it from a place that makes sense, and it's also, I think, understandable from the audience's sympathies are with you, because I think you're just like fundamentally fighting for people's rights, which is just a likable thing to do,
Mhm.
and so I think you have that going for you, which is good. But
On that briefly, it's going back to what I said before about how like Rex portrays things differently. Rex does like I've had a Rex like firmly believe when talking to small folk, like, yeah, I think this will give you an opportunity to like reach your pinnacle or whatever. But I have like going back to how he portrays things differently and who he talks to. Like when he talked to his to Viola, he was pointing out quite simply, you're not going to be on the bottom of the social rung if these small folk get elevated. That's absolutely going to fuck things up. And like there's a level of pragmatism in there because I am trying to portray him as an ancient like detached lizard who, despite his maybe altruistic sense, can realize how, yes, this is going to have side benefits to me.
yeah, I'm curious how much we'll get into that. I could feel like we could do almost endless episodes with these characters. We could just be like, here's this whole separate campaign covering the 20 years that we just skipped over or whatever, and there could be smaller scale things where we just talk about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think there are going to be massive social ramifications if people who were like essentially subaltern yesterday are like ruling class the next day. That like, yeah, the seismic shocks of that would be catastrophic.
This is also literally a key plot in the Stormlight Archive.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We got to do book club. We got to are the crabs still doing anything cool?
Yeah, they talk now. Oh, I guess that's a
Oh
spoiler.
fuck. Yeah, if you don't listen to Spewpunk, our bonus show, we were talking about Stormlight Archive, and I was cynical and dismissive until you mentioned there were cool crabs, and now I'm like, maybe I should read this. This sounds pretty good, actually.
I'm on the last book at this point, but it is like 60 hours left. But I don't have a job anymore, which is where I was mainly listening to it because I didn't care about the job anymore.
Keep up with the Dan lore. You've gone through so much recently. To finish this page of supporters of the show, we have Nephis Decidia, the queer sheep, poor, jobless, living in a van, finally free of state service.
Ah, it's
Aaron
me.
Norgard, Squishy Fishy, Graffiti, Marine Science Guy, Tsukage's husband, Bones, Toshiro Kuru, strangely returned after life lost them. Whoa. Are you okay? A werewolf is enjoying the Star Trek TTRPG, Star Trek Adventures, and so should you. Conduit of Snacks, Kaniku fan, and Miles and Danny love Dice Funk forever. So one of the scenes we didn't do in that big downtown episode was with your mom, Rosaline. I was thinking that she would have strong feelings about the party where she was put in a red solo cup, if I recall correctly.
Uh huh.
Did you have any expectations for that scene of like how it would have went, and how are you thinking about that character going forward?
I was expecting it to go how the first scene went, to be honest with you.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I deliberately made her though because I knew I wanted someone to be the most like extreme against small folk, which is a very unsympathetic role to have. It would
Mhm.
be very easy to just say that character is like a fucking Nazi, fuck them, we never need to think about them. So I made them your mom. So you would have to emotionally engage at least a little bit with that. And also, but it also is like a double-edged thing because she's not just going to sneak into your lair and kill you in your sleep because she's your mom.
Uh
Even
huh.
though if you were someone else, she probably would do that.
Uh-huh. So she'll just kill my sisters.
Maybe that's the thing I'm thinking about is like how far is she willing to go, acknowledging that dragon culture is not like human
Yeah.
culture in that it's not as frowned upon to throw some children around a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about it. I actually one of my regrets is not interacting with her more to build up to this because it's like I don't think I can convince her that what he's doing is a good thing. I'm not necessarily sure that's possible. A lot of this is like honestly, this mirrors my some of my own familial interactions where it's like I love my mom. I think she's been brain rotted by the '70s Reagan era to an extent, which was isn't great, and we have never really come to see eye to eye on it, and it's more that there's a sort of a ceasefire where the topics aren't broached anymore if we can avoid it. That's not really an option here because she's trying to kill some of our friends. So
That's kind of how I'm approaching it is that there's like a core to her character and beliefs that you can't really change with the persuasion or intimidation roll, but that you could around the edges find some kind of ceasefire or understanding. I am very fortunate, I guess, that Keeper is still in play.
mhm.
That's a character that could have been killed off very early for with no ongoing consequences. As it turned out that he's now an immortal killing machine, which is fun, but that means he can act kind of on Rosaline's interests or what he thinks Rosaline's interests are without directly implicating her, which is a long way of me saying Rosaline won't attack you directly, but Keeper still can.
Which like comes to my only angle here, where I can think like you have your insane super soldier, and you're acting like this thing isn't like effectively dragon level. What are you talking about? Like you've elevated it into fucking dark side as he hunts down half of this fucking continent.
Yeah, Keeper is so powerful. It's like comedic, but he's too stupid to do anything with it. There's like, like he could end this, tomorrow if he had the wherewithal to do so. But he's just not. He's just not locked in like that. So that I think that's very funny. That's like the Dice Funk contrast of like we're thinking seriously about things and also we're just goofy as fuck. So that feels like classic us.
Uh-huh. Until someone uses another ninth level wish to undo his, and he just instantly explodes from 30 curses, ripping him in half.
I wonder if that would work. My first instinct is no, because he wasn't like that before, so it wouldn't be the same as the other wish. You know what I'm saying? It feels like the way Laura worded it specifically gives me infinite latitude, but maybe there's some way there. I mean,
Counterpoint, he wasn't a god killing machine before.
you don't know that.
Okay.
You don't know his life.
Well, he did get vomited to death earlier, so there seems to be a discrepancy somewhere. Maybe there's a back end rounding error.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I think speaking of Rosaline, I'm interested in your future interactions. She hasn't had the most screen time, but I also think there's an interesting like bookends effect where she was like one of the first things you had to think about. I think you went to her volcano literally in episode 1, and there was like all that keeper stuff happened. So if that's kind of how the season ends, I find that personally satisfying.
Mm-hmm. I think to an extent it's like his first downtime was her basically saying you're never gonna be as strong as your sisters because they're older than you. You have to like outthink everyone, and I think it just kind of has to come full circle with both of the parents, where he has to like outplan, outplot, outmaneuver, and then beat the shit out of them. Because in Rex's
Yeah.
mind, part of this is like, or at least in my mind, viewing the story, it's like, oh, Dad's like this because he doesn't actually believe we can execute. We just need to fucking execute on the plan, and then it's like, all right, old man, fucking retire. You're done.
Yeah, that could be definitely the direction we're going in. I didn't know how antagonistic any particular dragon would be at the beginning, so I'm still trying to like roll Orlando around in my mind to being like, would he, if it came down to it, like really beat all three of you to death? Because so far he's been trying to show love in his own way. I don't want him to just be evil, but
Mhm.
he's been pushed and he feels like he has to prove something to you at this point, which is he's kind of pathetic, right? It's kind of sad.
Yeah, and that's like why Rex was like I don't know if I said this on air. Rex is happy he's actually doing something right now. I had what is it? My both my grandparents and my father at the end of their life were like essentially bedridden and had like various deteriorating things happening to their body, and getting them to try to do anything was essentially impossible. And it's like, this is not helping the situation. So at least in Rex's mind, at least at the back of it, like his dad trying to kill him is something. Like, it's got him up and moving again. No, Rex is like, I think he's been too fucked up by whatever happened in the past. He's locked himself onto a sort of false peace, and he's like he's kind of papered over a lot of the problems that the Cookie Mountains are having that are just simmering, and all they have done is brought them to the forefront to be an actual problem. I can't talk about what's happening in like the current stuff. Some shit happened that I think Rex is gonna have words about.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned stuff that happened to him in the past. Like, at this point, it's been well established that Orlando has an old lair that you all can investigate now because of Laura doing those downtime activities to like unlock that level, as it were.
Mhm.
I'm curious how that stuff will change. I've had a couple of different ideas for it since we started, and I think I know what all that is going. How that all goes down. But I'm also thinking that as the season enters its final act, that you all will get to choose which arc makes the most sense, which layer makes the most sense to go to. This current one is going to be Sycorax just because you killed her and it makes sense to go there now, but there's a couple left, and I'm curious if you rushed Orlando's lair to see what the deal is there to get more perspective. If you're like, fuck that old guy and his old shit, we have other things to accomplish. So it's kind of terrifying as the DM not knowing what we're doing and in what order.
I feel like we're probably going to end up trying to go to there relatively quickly because, as you've said, it's the secret level. And in turn, that there is a level of like, there's a level of like, when you're playing an RPG and you can see, okay, the end boss is over there. I'm going to go in the opposite direction now.
Yeah, you got to get the golden chocobo before you confront Sephiroth. We all know that is, even though he's supposedly going to destroy the world any minute now.
Mhm.
But no, I think that's a really interesting thing about this setting is that we could just do like the Enobarbus arc revisited and just have a whole new adventure in that mountain. And honestly, wouldn't feel like we were retreading or anything. There's still so much more to do there. We could do that for every dragon, I think, like 2 or 3 times before it gets old.
Which
so.
I think was part of your original plans, and then some of these arcs went on for like 5 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to address that, but it was originally supposed to be 3 episodes an arc, and then it just got the fuck away from me. There's always just so much going on.
Uh-huh.
I've done better in previous seasons, I think, in reining everybody in, but I've essentially given up now. But it's funny though, because we're always talking about what if a restaurant had a silly name, you know? What if?
Yeah, that's really what everyone's here for. How are we gonna bastardize Arby's into a new fucked up fantasy version?
Yeah, it's rabies.
There you go.
as a raccoon, it's foaming at the mouth. To finish up the Patreon sponsors for this beautiful episode, a Spooky Brent, Boo Sky Witch for Let's Talk About Snacks podcast, Midlife Stasis, targeted by the Cat Distribution System. I'd love to be targeted by that. Spaghetti-O Moment, Sir Alistair Octopus, Faith and Valor, Bleaker, Ebrin, getting an education and learning data analysis. Matt Lackitz doesn't have the mental energy to update their Patreon name anymore, but still listens to every episode avidly. Ed, G-Man Jack, Francois Villa, deleted scene and everything everywhere all at once. Marcus Levin and Brent, still every episode of Dice Funk Goatly. Thank you so much for making the show possible. $10 a month gets you on that list and makes the show continue. Thank you. I love you. Dan, do you also love them, or are you just friends? Is it casual?
I got married a week ago, so I think that would be cheating.
Okay, you can't fuck the listeners anymore.
Yeah, that's outside of I'm sorry, people. I'm off the market. I know you're all lusting for me greatly, but that's no longer an option.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Rex at this point? I think you had a really fun character journey. You probably wish you had more items, but I think your character's cool. And I think if we actually sat down and ran the numbers, you have done not only more damage than anyone else, but you've also like been the cool deciding factor in a number of badass fights. Like, I think you've had good moments, but I understand that.
Now, that is because that's the level 20 character sheet where that becomes very important.
Yeah.
I think like D&D, I don't think the design, Gary Gygax never expected this when he was coming up with his level progression. And I think if you told him, well, maybe not, he was fine with it. He'd be confused why we aren't dead is the real question. Why we haven't used like 30 characters. But yeah. I guess if you were going with, I don't know, fucking Mike Merles when he was designing 5e, he'd be like, what do you mean you've played 47 sessions and you're at level 1? What's happening? Did you read the book I wrote? No, fuck. Yeah, Rex has absolutely done some cool stuff. It's the as I walk through the 7-mile spanking machine on the way there is what's happening at the time.
The 7-mile spanking machine unfortunately does end in a rapid drop into the glue trap. That's just how it is.
Speaking of which, here's a picture of a dragon in a glue trap.
Oh, Lord. Thank you, Dad. I guess we know what this episode's going to be called. Oh, this is so sad. Help them.
No, I guess, final thoughts on Rex. I'm very happy with it. Actually, most of my thoughts are like the mechanics of what this, Megalon transformation. Oh, that's the regret. I didn't come up with a better name than Megalon. We really should have like 60 episodes ago or whatever, but now it's too late. We're just here. We're just where we are.
Wait, what did you say that you had a different name?
No, I think we should have probably come up with something different than what was in the fucking Megalopolis or whatever it's called.
Uh-huh.
maybe we should have come up with something setting specific and not from like a really bad movie that bankrupted that old man.
I mean, I think it's very funny, and I have a stupid sense of humor, but I think at the time when Quinn introduced this, it's actually during the Enobarbus arc, Quinn jokingly found some weird metal, and I think at the time we made a tiny joke about it being Megalon, but then I tried to call it DiCaprion or something. I was like, oh, if DiCaprio found it, it should be named after you, but we kept coming back to Megalon. What else would we call it? I'm open to brainstorming. Like, we could have in season 14 or whatever, people call it something else.
Maybe that's what needs to happen, where it's been long enough that the cultural reference has shifted. I mean, like you could just use the instinct is generic fantasy name Worm's Blood or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm allergic to traditional fantasy stuff, probably to my own detriment.
That's just how names work. People hear
It
like,
is.
oh, there's the name of this cool river in German. What's it translate to in English? River. Fuck.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I just when I see a D&D character named like Blood Knife Eagle Fist, I'm just like, fuck you, kill yourself. I just have an instinctual knee jerk where I'm just like, be named Jim. Be named Jim Johnson. I don't know why.
That is actually a very funny part. I think we touched on it briefly when we talked about Stormlight Archive. There's a character that's referred to as, Kaladin Stormblessed. That, like, nickname, that last name is given to him. He doesn't fucking like it. He doesn't want to be called that. I don't think he has a last name legally up till that point, because he's just, like, a low-ranking peasant, and because he's like, oh, he's, like, a cool fighter. Call him Stormblessed. He's like, oh, fuck. I don't really like that.
That's good. And that's like if I was isekai into a fantasy world and they were like, this is Tall Flame Thunder Fist. I'd be like, no, stop
Tall
it.
Flame linebacker.
Yeah. I'd be so mad at them. I'd be throwing gnomes around.
No, but what I was trying to get back around to is like I've put in a lot of thought into like I guess the hard mechanics of like what Megalon is doing, and I think when I eventually landed on internally, we haven't really talked about it on air. Maybe this is like, world building for season I don't know fucking 18 or whatever. When you play small folks in this environment, is that like what it's doing is there are like the classes, right, that are like, oh, dragon ascendant, dragon bloodline. Rex is literally playing the dragon class, like a third party thing. What it's effectively doing is like giving you levels in that until you hit like the breaking point, and then you are just a literal dragon at level 20. And the various methods of like what's happening are either like jumping you further ahead or building it slowly over time.
Dark Sun has a similar mechanic where the dragons are like extinct in the setting unless you do a bunch of stuff to get like dragon levels, and then you could try a ritual to become a dragon. But if it fails, you die, which I think is something we imply could happen. It hasn't happened on screen yet.
Yeah.
But during that Rex downtime, I think we said something like it's turning people into goo. I think was the failure state, which is
There's
good.
a lot of goo this season as we're finding.
It's a slimy season. But I also think an important thing to keep in mind is that there are two competing strains of the goo at this point because Enobarbus / Desdemona are doing their own thing. And you and I talked about this a bit. We haven't seen it on screen. But I've also kind of started thinking of it in Metal Gear terms because everything in Metal Gear is about nanomachines and they're basically magic and they can do anything. But also it's a series that has a lot of political maneuvering and Cold War stuff. Sometimes when I worry that I'm too like ham-handed with my writing tricks or whatever, I remember that Hideo Kojima named a character whose main focus was the Cold War. He named the character Hot Coldman, and I'm like, I'm fine.
There you go.
I'm doing subtle ass delicate work over here. Anyway, but I was thinking, yeah, it's we've almost backed ourselves into a Metal Gear plot, which maybe I would have been more self-conscious about when I was younger, but now I'm just like, yeah, dudes rock. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it.
There's a goblin named Schmegglesby or whatever now, so like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I named the character Goldicus Anglesmith.
You sure did. Half the episodes' names this season are just fucked up character names you came up with. Humdrum Deep Breath is one of them. Like we just accept them as normal now, but they were once funny enough to be the episode titles.
Mm-hmm. I that's my biggest dread about season 13. I have a bunch of characters and like how they act, what they think about. They haven't fucking named them. haven't named them.
Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah, no, it's bad. I've been doing this for so long. I've just completely it's the number one difficulty every season. I could do.
How
all
are you
the
gonna
other
feel
stuff.
when I introduce a character named Austin Yorsky?
I don't care. I mean, you can. I gotta be honest. I was literally thinking about having a character in a later season and just trying not to acknowledge it. Just be like, this quest giver named Austin. And if you ask his last name, he'll be like, Yorsky. And I'm like, any relation? Nope, just a guy. I don't know if that's funny or not, but I definitely thought about it.
I did in a campaign I was I think when was it actually I created a town that was just named after my hometown, and
Okay.
it was a fucking toxic wasteland.
Oh no. Yeah,
That's
that's
my kind of self-inserting. I want to die horribly in a glue trap, as has been discussed.
yeah, it's been firmly established. That's the thing about DMing is sometimes I think of something that's funny to me, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be funny to you all. And even if it is funny, like, what is the payoff besides like a little chuckle? You know, it just kind of like makes the show about me, which is not really what I want.
Uh-huh.
So I sometimes hesitate to put in stuff like that, but maybe I will because I always need more new ideas. You know.
Do you want to be like referenced as a corpse in like a flesh market next season? I could reference a bafflingly large human in shorts and a Hawaiian shirt.
What is a flesh market? I think we might need to define our terms.
Well, if we're in a setting that's dealing with a bunch of Frankensteins and people growing pumpkins out of corpses, you're gonna need a flesh market. You're gonna be needing to sell and trade bodies.
Okay. I mean, I knew, I guess. I was just trying to get you on record for the FBI.
There you
Dan,
go.
thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about later as things develop. I mean, we're only a couple of recordings ahead of the audience, and even I'm like, oh, there's so much they don't know. It's wild how much happens on our show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm having a great time. I know there's a couple things in the chamber that's about to be shot at the audience head and then probably mine. I think something's happening tomorrow that I'm going to be quite interested in.
Yeah. You don't have anything to plug. You're just Dan at Dan.Dan. Or I guess Dan.Maya now.
Yeah, currently nothing. We'll see how desperate I get. Maybe I'll open an OnlyFans. I did unironically consider I've briefly talked about this on air once or twice. I was making a porn game out of spite once, and now I've been like, well, I'm unemployed. Gooners pay a lot of money. Maybe I get back to that in the meantime while I'm on the job hunt. Maybe I try to get like a quick demo out there and see what I can get.
It's good work if you can get it. Yeah, I mean, if anybody listening to this is hiring for whatever computer stuff you do, hit up Dan at the Dan.my email or in the Discord. Just hire Dan. He needs you. Help him.
That company I just left is so fucked, and you could see it on their faces that they knew that they were in a bad position.
Were you holding it all together like Spider-Man with like pulling on the two different web strands to pull it all to the center?
In the support queue at the very least, yeah. Like, it just from me not really giving a shit these last 2 weeks and like turning away like giving away the responsibilities that I had. Its ticket queue jumped from like when it's normally like 20 to 30 to 50 something, with like a bunch of projects coming in and like a ton of shit on fire. So they're not in a good spot. I also found out they were underpaying me like $15,000 compared to a new hire. So, fuck them. I don't like there's a level where I can no longer give a shit about how you're doing.
So our plugs for the end of the episode are patreon.com/Austin Yorsky and fuck Dan's old company. They suck. I'm not sure how that's actionable, but feel free to do some jazz on it.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. I'm gonna go die in a glue trap. Reaching out to catch the soul.